Okay, I got Scott Barry Kaufman in the booth today. He's a cognitive scientist, a best-selling author, host of the most recognized podcast in psychology, founder and director of the Center for Human Potential, one of the most influential researchers of human intelligence of our time. And on top of all of that, he dreams of one day being in a boy band.
Still dream that. Still
That,
dream.
that, yeah. When I first saw you, like when I first saw the hair, I'm like, this is perfect. So is there anything else you wanted to add to your title there?
Um, nah, I like it. I like it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's probably good enough to get started.
Good.
So yeah, I'd like to stick with the theme of human potential here and ask you about limiting beliefs. Um, we've all been sort of told the idea that we need to believe in ourselves. And,
Hmm.
I've never really known exactly what that meant. So, maybe we could talk a little bit about what that really means from a psychological perspective. So yeah, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about what they are and how they form?
What is?
Limiting beliefs.
Oh, limited beliefs.
Yeah.
Believing in yourself. Well, we have so many mindsets and worldviews that could potentially limit our potential, like that you're not worthy of trying something, that you will never be good at it. So what's the point of trying? That you uh, who am I to stand out? Survivor's guilt. Who am I to stand out?
Hmm.
The people are suffering. I feel like a lot of well-meaning liberals have that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every
Yeah.
day, Survivor, oh, I shouldn't stand out. I should just
Mm, that's a
sure,
good analogy.
yeah, just spend my whole life making sure everything's equality. And so I think you know what I'm saying. These well-meaning liberals. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I all too well, all too well.
They're obsessed with the quality. They're obsessed. It's like how dare excellence exist?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
How
know.
how dare we have excellence in our society? Uh,
Right.
and I guess I really take a middle path there with all this, and think, and I'm a coach, and I'm actually starting a new form of coaching. I'm calling self-actualization coaching,
Yeah.
and I want people to know that you're worth it. You're if you don't shine, who will? And also, why not you? Because if you're a good person and you have good integrity and you're in it for the right reasons, better you to shine than a complete asshole, right? So you almost have a duty to shine above
Yeah.
others in the space who could shine, who aren't as pro-social as you. So I just think that there's the society has a real deep reckoning. It has to do between creating a good balance between equality and excellence, but I think both are important, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I guess what I had in mind here was more, I think the well-meaning liberal analogy was really good because it takes it out of a context of an individual, and then I think a lot of well-meaning liberals are, they're just trying to be really good people, but in the process it's never enough to be a good, so they're always in this sort of state of apologizing.
Yeah,
There's a tone, and like an unconscious tone, that of guilt that comes
yeah,
with all of that. And I think that's a good analogy because it shows what these beliefs do to you at an unconscious level. And um, so, it's hard to I think really sometimes it's hard to the reason why that believe in yourself idea is hard to get across is because uh, our beliefs form without us even realizing that we have those beliefs, that those are what's operating. And I thought you'd be a good person to ask because um I had an experience in life where I wasn't doing so well in school. I was very low achieving in high school. And then, you know, it was just a change of my identity really. And then going to this, college, I did really well. So I think identity, what you identify as plays, a really big role in beliefs.
Wait, so what did you go from identifying as to what? Did you like what was your arc in terms of identity? I'm just curious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I was in high school, I felt that I just didn't I wasn't getting good grades since like fourth or fifth grade on. I just wasn't able to do anything they were asking me to do. And I guess I identified more as an athlete then. And then after that, that all ended for me. And then I kind of started to say exactly what you were saying in the beginning here, which was, why can't I identify as a smart, you know, like
Right.
type? Yeah,
Yeah, why not?
yeah.
Uh, we have, transgender people. Why not have trans gifted people?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
People,
Um,
why can't you
well,
just self-identify as smart? Who cares what the
yeah,
what
I know, but it's so weird. It just, these things, it feels like we're not allowed. It feels like, people are going to attack us or judge us or hold us, super accountable for, how, like you said, how dare you think of yourself this way? And then
yeah.
the transgender analogy you made there is another good example of how beliefs and your identity can change how you function.
Yeah, I mean, I often use that analogy. I'm like, it's like, we're allowing people to self-identify by whatever gender they want. Why don't we let people self-identify as gifted in school? And people sometimes laugh at that. That's like a cheeky analogy. But I'm like, well, what's the difference between the, like there's one where people are like, well, there's objective truth. You're either smart or you're smart, and we'll test it and we'll tell you what your potential is. And that doesn't allow any room for the human themselves to say, well, let me tell you what my inner experience is. Like let me, like, hello, can I talk? May I have a word? May I have a word about this? It's like I felt like for the first 9 grades of my high school, I had no say in the matter. They're like, Scott, you're stupid, and I was like, okay, well, like, am I allowed to disagree? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely, absolutely.
am I allowed to show you that I'm capable of something? Give me a chance. So
I
yeah,
think, yeah. And I think the story you have there is really also very telling of what I'm trying to get at, because if I can talk about this well enough, hopefully some of my audience members who might be listening might be able to check on their own limiting beliefs. And so, your story where you were struggling in high school, and then all it took was one teacher to come along, right?
yeah,
And to show you that they saw you, that they recognized you.
yeah,
That's significant because our perceptions of reality are so dependent on other people.
yeah.
You
That's
know, it's one of our biggest evidences for what reality is what other people seem to think it is, you know.
Yes, yes. And that's also like it's very normal and common when you're young for that to be the case. But when you get older, like when I hit 40, once I hit 40, I'm like, fuck it. Like people can I'm not going to live my life being driven by this fear of what some abstract internet trolls are going to think of me. So why am I letting them control my decisions in life? If I think I have integrity and I think that I'm making a good decision, so it's absurd the extent to which we are so in fear of what strangers will think of us as opposed to
Dude,
yeah.
dude, you have no idea, because like I was gonna say this at the end, but I was gonna say, you know, for I think the last 5 years I've been listening to you, and the thing I think I was really drawn to was that in you. It was the lack of fear about, how you were supposed to be in a situation. And all of your interviews, no matter who I've heard you talking with, you've always had a really warm and playful,
Yeah.
authentically warm and playful personality behind it. And like, I don't see that very much, um because nowadays it just seems like the world just has these powerful expectations that we fit clearly into a brand, you know.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for saying that. I feel seen.
Yeah, you're
I feel seen. Well, I've always been allergic to bullshght. My whole life, I feel like a theme of my personality is I just don't like pretense, and there's so
mm,
everyone seems to be having so much that could be because of
mm.
autism. So who
No,
knows?
dude.
But I don't really understand pretense. I can't comprehend it. I don't. I play, in dates, where girls play games, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, do you like me or not? Do you like me or not? Just tell me. Just tell me. I don't want to play a game. Anyway, sorry, that or my analogies
No,
are
go
my,
on. No, these are
my
great. No,
analogies
these are
good
great.
today. My analogies
No,
good. Yeah,
these are
yeah.
great. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
play games too, obviously as well, but I don't deal with guys.
No,
And
I think that is what I identified with, it's the pretense you were talking about. It's just, I think that held me back in school a lot.
yeah,
Playing that role that teachers always want us to play. I had a really hard time doing that. And so,
yeah,
um, you
yeah.
know, yeah, I've always been a really playful and fun person, even within, an academic setting.
That's great. No, that's the way to be. It's the way to be. Life is absurd.
So, did you spend, do you have much research background in how beliefs form, or, um,
Um, well, I mean, I'm a cognitive scientist.
yeah.
I, my training is in intelligence and the brain, and definitely studied social psychology as well, and as an undergraduate, and how beliefs form in that sense. Yeah, can you give me a bit more, be more specific in terms of which beliefs? Depends on which beliefs. Like I'm also interested in like
Well,
in
yeah.
rationality and why how irrational beliefs coexist and influence us and make us make stupid decisions no matter what our IQ is. I'm really into like Keith Stanovich's work
Mm,
along those lines.
mm.
Rationality is not the same thing as intelligence, and
What
got a
was
lot of
that? I'm sorry.
rationality. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, yeah. Rationality is not the same thing as intelligence.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Um, oh, this is horrible. I just realized I've been using the wrong microphone setting this whole time. Oh my gosh.
Were you
I'm
supposed to have auto tune, or
so sorry. I have a professional microphone I thought I was using. I'm going to change it right now.
okay?
Now we're using the professional microphone. Do you hear the
Okay.
difference? You hear the
Yeah,
difference?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, I'm so sorry. Were you able to get a good recording so far already?
yeah. As far as I know, yeah.
Okay.
Um. Yeah. So I guess in forms of beliefs, what I guess I want to get at here is how our perceptions of reality are
Yeah.
not based on rational, clear, conscious thought. A lot of times it's more dependent on how we feel in the moment. Would you say that's consistent with, what you've studied?
Can you elaborate? Do you mind elaborating a little more on that?
Sure. So, I studied this from a book called Care for Human Consciousness by Dan Short. And he was looking at the a lot of the theories that overlap between Milton Erickson and William James. And so there's a whole chapter about how reality, our perceptions of reality form, and it isn't the way that's based on our conscious reasoning mind, like it feels like from a subjective sense. So like the example I gave before where other people seem to be some of our most evidence for reality other than, even what do we tell ourselves? Or if you're in a heated argument and the reality feels like the other person is disrespecting you, just if it feels like it, that's the reality that seems to sink in that moment, even if it isn't the objective reality, you know.
What is objective reality? We
Numbers.
numbers. I mean, we in a lot of ways we create realities. No, I'm not going all the secret on you here, but
Yeah,
we
yeah,
we the realities of situations are usually an interaction between the energy we're bringing into the moment and how people respond to us, and then that feedback loop that happens to both people or all the people in a room.
mm,
So this stuff is more complicated. If you go into a dance club with like the sort of mentality in your head, I'm unworthy, I'm a loser, I'm fat and ugly, and who would want me? And then you approach someone in the club and you're like, hey, can I buy you a drink, with that attitude? And they're like, no. And then you're like, oh, that's because I'm fat and ugly. Good point.
yeah, yeah,
What you've done, there's a whole sort of interaction here. And I just feel like, it's like you can, to a certain extent, create an energy that you want, the energy that you want in this world.
for
you know
sure.
you show up to the gym with basically, I'm saying, show up with the right attitude. And I don't know, did you like my club analogy here? But
Yeah, I love the club analogy.
it
Yeah,
applies to anything. You
yeah,
show up
yeah,
if you show up to the gym with the attitude like, oh my God, I have to do the bench press, and what if it falls on me? you know, uh, as opposed to, let's do this. That's why, coaches exist. They and motivating yourself, and to this certain extent. So I think that, like, beliefs matter a lot, but I don't separate out the objective world from your beliefs. I
I see.
actually think these things, I believe in the extended mind hypothesis in philosophy of mind. Like, the mind doesn't just start and stop in this container of my brain. you know
Consciousness. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's, I think you were answering a I think you were answering a better question than I even asked, which was,
Mm.
what is, if there's anybody to ask about our potential, you would be the person to ask. So, what is the extent that, our own beliefs and what we can do about it, um, goes in how far we can actually change things for ourselves.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry if I totally understood your question. um uh well, I think, like, William James has a great quote on that, right? Like, um you can't let me see, if I wonder if I can find it. um William James quote. I'm googling this. Energies of man. um Trees into the sky. Um, of course there are limits. The trees don't grow into the sky, but the plain fact remains that men the world over possess amounts of resource which only very exceptional individuals push to their extremes of use. That's
Mm,
from what's William James in his essay Energies of something. Yeah, I always really like that quote of his. Actually, the essay "The Energies of Men" is, well, it's a little outdated because now we acknowledge that women are capable of things, but back in the day when no one, like, they didn't think women were capable of shit, he called it that. But
yeah.
yeah, but nowadays he'd be canceled. William James would be canceled for
Yeah,
that type.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they still have a statue up at Harvard.
Yeah, they
Like,
should take the William James.
it's a matter of time before that goes down.
Yeah, the essay will be "The Energies of of yeah of I don't know. I'm trying to think of a general neutral term, but whatever. Um, forget it, forget it. But cut, cut. But I love that quote though. Isn't that a good quote? Isn't that a
Yeah,
good quote?
yeah. Well, what you made it better there at the end. I think you just like changed that quote forever.
Okay.
Sorry, I gotta gather myself here. So all right, so I really want to be conscious of your time here. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I usually ask all my guests if they have any ideas that they haven't really got a chance to express elsewhere, but they're excited about. So, is there anything you'd want to be understood on?
I really think we need a humanistic society that applies some of these broader principles of what it means to be what it means to treat each other as human, as fellow humans, as opposed to all someone is their political belief, or all someone is their this belief or that belief. It seems like belief is a common thread among our interview today, so I'm going to stick with that
For sure.
thread and not reduce people to things based to the extent to which they agree or disagree with us in one issue. It's like our whole gestalt is a full perception of a human seems to shift back and forth based on whether or not they agree with one aspect of what we think of.
Yeah.
It's like you meet someone, you're like, I love Billy, and then you find out Billy's like whatever pro-life or pro-choice, whatever the opposite of you. And you're like, all of a sudden your gestalt is like Billy's Hitler. It's like wait, but it's like you just like Billy. Like five
Yeah.
minutes ago, you're just like, you know what, I like Billy. Now 5 minutes later, you're like, he's Hitler. So,
Yeah, is what that's so how is that, dude? Like, how can you genuinely love someone? I have people who lose family members.
I know.
They disown family. They're people that they've loved their whole lives and have always been there, and just they have this one different belief.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is they just assume the other person is purposefully being a bad actor or something, and I don't know. Yeah, go on. I mean, you were on a good tear there.
No, but you were right. Um,
And
I really
society
think,
does need that. Yeah.
yeah, we need a more of a humanistic perspective and one that, values the potential of another human being based on their totality of who they are, not just one slice of who they are, not their learning disability only, or not their uh, even not their gift. A lot of gifted, I'm putting this in quotes, a lot of gifted kids have learning disabilities. It's like
Mm,
we,
absolutely.
we need to acknowledge that juxtaposition exists. That like humans are complicated beings. There's no one all good or all bad, except for Trump. But I'm joking. I'm joking. Everybody calm down. All the Trump
No,
fans
you
listen
could.
to your podcast. I know they love your podcast.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh my god. All right. All right. All right.
All
Um.
right. You can
Yeah.
edit all that out. You've
No, I'm
edited.
not gonna. I'm not gonna.
Okay, okay, whatever you feel comfortable with. But no, even Trump, no one's all good or all bad.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and we really need to recognize that about people. It's like people are such that's what it means to be creative. The creative
Mm,
you have wired to create behind you, and
mm,
the creative mind is one that it just contains multitudes and owns it, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a pretty good point to leave on, I think. Yeah,
Totally.
and I think if the world could just do a little bit more of that for each other. One of the quotes I think that I'll leave on here was Dan Short, who wrote the book I was telling you about, said if people could just realize that empathy isn't just for other people,
Wow.
you know,
Wow. Yeah, I think that's so true.
yeah,
Um, oh shoot, I
for
have
sure.
what did you say?
Nothing.
Oh, I want to read a quote from my friend
Sure.
Sharon Salzberg. Sharon Salzberg. She has a new book out called Real Life. I just want to plug it real quick.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
do you know who Sharon Salzberg is?
yeah, yeah.
She's amazing. There's a quote from this book where she goes, "Clearly, loving kindness for ourselves is not always the easiest, by any means. We have to include ourselves at some point. Even as we may be cultivating enormous care and compassion for others, there needs to be a part of us that is not abandoning ourselves. There's a kind of profound equality of us and other people." Is that along the lines of what you were thinking?
Yeah, and I mean that, yeah, and that quote, I think what that reminded me of was empathy isn't just for other people, is that when you feel empathy, it unlocks a lot of unconscious mechanisms in your own mind that help you in life.
Yes.
Loving kindness, and it even increases your ability to read nonverbal communication and connect to people, and all these things that you don't consciously realize. So yeah, you know, and especially for ourselves, I don't think enough people give themselves enough of that either. So
Dude, I could interview you.
it seems like you're the one interviewing me here. I have I've had a lot of time to think about talking to you. So maybe
It's
another
great.
time. I don't know. Yeah.
It's great. It's great. You keep
Thanks.
up the you keep up the great work, Todd. I don't respond to many people
Yeah.
that I get inquiries, random inquiries from, but you're very patient. So I feel like I wanted to reward that.
I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to come on or do an interview at all, So
Oh, well, it's my pleasure. No, of
yeah.
course. I'm not trying to be like, I've graced you with my presence. But I'm just saying I really appreciate this, and you're worthy. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Scott.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.